Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on something that's literally happening inside the body of almost every single man over 40 right now. It's a quiet, incredibly slow biological change. And the crazy thing is, most guys won't even discover it's happening until it's already costing them their sleep, their strength, and honestly, their confidence. So we're going to unpack the biology, bust some really pervasive myths, and most importantly, we're laying out a master protection plan based entirely on real science.
So let me ask you a really direct, honest question. When was the last time you thought about your prostate? I mean, really thought about it, before something actually went wrong. If your answer is never, well, you're definitely in the majority. This is one of those topics shrouded in silence, a bit of embarrassment, and a whole lot of locker room myths. But here is the hard truth. Biology doesn't care about our social discomfort. It just is. And today, it's time to talk facts, because understanding this incredibly misunderstood gland is absolutely key to maintaining your vitality as you age.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The quiet biological shift. 2. The science of ejaculation. 3. Inside the aging prostate. 4. The silent accelerators. And finally, 5. The protection plan.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the quiet biological shift, a gland right at the center of men's health.
Now, before we get into what goes wrong, you kind of need to know what we're dealing with here. This gland is roughly the size of a walnut, and it wraps directly around your urethra. Its main job is producing a fluid that nourishes and protects sperm. Through your 20s and 30s, it stays pretty stable. But right around age 40, this silent shift begins. It starts to grow, and because of where it's located, this growth presses inward. It's literally like a fist gradually tightening around a rubber hose. This physical restriction and flow is exactly why millions of men over 60 experience slow urine, sudden urgency, a hesitant stream, and those endlessly frustrating nighttime trips to the bathroom that just completely shatter your sleep quality.
Moving right along to Section 2, the science of ejaculation, beyond locker room wisdom. Let's look at nearly 2 decades of rigorous, peer-reviewed data from European urology.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how stark the statistical difference actually is. Guys who ejaculated 4 to 7 times per month had a significantly higher risk of prostate cancer compared to men who averaged 21 or more times per month. Think about that, 21 times versus 4 to 7 times. This difference wasn't just some minor statistical blip. It was real, it was significant, and it was highly measurable.
So why exactly does this happen? Well, biologists point to something called the prostate flushing hypothesis. Every single time a man ejaculates, the prostate forcefully contracts, expelling all its stored fluids. This regular biological maintenance clears out old cells, metabolic waste, and potentially carcinogenic substances that just naturally build up over time. It's kind of like a water pipe in an old house, right? If water flows through it regularly, it stays clean and functional. But if it just sits unused, sediment and blockages build up and the pipe starts to narrow. Regular ejaculation acts as that vital flushing mechanism to keep the tissue clean.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Inside the aging prostate, the 3 hidden biological changes. Now, that flushing hypothesis is fascinating, right? But it's not some magic shield. The first internal change we see is just massive in scale. By the time guys reach their 80s, a staggering 90% are dealing with benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. Let's be super clear here. BPH is a non-cancerous enlargement. It is benign. But the impact on your day-to-day quality of life, it can be brutal. If you leave it unmanaged, it severely erodes your sleep quality, it drains your energy, and it creates this constant underlying anxiety about where the nearest bathroom is. Okay, so the second change is all about hormones. Normally, a healthy balance of testosterone keeps your prostate tissue perfectly stable. But as we age and our testosterone naturally starts to decline, the body actually starts converting some of it into a much more potent hormone called DHT. And this DHT accumulation is a huge problem because it actively and aggressively stimulates prostate cells to multiply. This hormonal shift acts almost like a fertilizer for prostate growth, which is exactly why hormonal balance is a crucial conversation to have with your doctor.
And that brings us to the third change, cellular vulnerability. Think about it. Across decades of billions of cell divisions, the probability of a microscopic copying error just naturally goes up. That is exactly how cancer starts. And I need to deliver a really hard clinical truth right now. Prostate cancer very often develops completely silently. In its earliest, most treatable stages, there are 0 symptoms, no pain, no discomfort, no urinary issues whatsoever. The prostate might not even feel enlarged at all. Relying strictly on how you feel is an incredibly dangerous strategy when we're talking about cellular errors.
Which brings us to Section 4. 4 silent danger accelerators. Habits that actually amplify these biological challenges.
So we can actually map these destructive forces into 4 distinct categories. When chronic inflammation, physical inactivity, chronic dehydration, and medical avoidance all combine in the same body, they create the perfect storm. Together, they build this internal environment where enlargement accelerates and cellular damage just accumulates way faster than your body can repair it. Let's break those down a bit. First up, inflammation and inactivity. You know, the modern diet, which is usually super heavy in processed foods, excess sugar, and red meats like sausage and bacon, it drives chronic, low-grade inflammation. Your prostate basically bathes in this inflamed environment, causing cells to divide faster and abnormally. Now, combine that with physical inactivity. As we get older, it's pretty easy to become more sedentary, right? But a lack of movement restricts vital blood flow to the pelvic region and completely disrupts that crucial hormonal balance between testosterone and DHT that we just talked about.
Next up, we've got dehydration and medical avoidance. If you are chronically dehydrated, your urine becomes highly concentrated and chemically irritating to both the bladder and the prostate lining. That completely shuts down the body's natural flushing mechanics. And then there's medical avoidance. Look, a lot of guys are raised in this tough guy culture where you'd rather, fix a transmission blindfolded than go see a doctor. But avoiding the doctor out of stubborn pride leads directly to late-stage, untreatable cancer diagnoses that could have been completely curable if they were just caught early. Avoidance isn't strength, it's a profound risk.
So the crucial point is this. Section 5, the Prostate Protection Plan. 4 pillars for taking back control. Look, we do not have to be passive observers of our own biological decline. The master plan we're looking at is built on 4 distinct pillars that directly counteract those accelerators we just discussed. Step 1, annual screening. Step 2, anti-inflammatory nutrition. Step 3, daily movement. And Step 4, hydration and flushing. Taking active, consistent control over these 4 pillars is exactly what changes long-term health outcomes for guys. Let's look at each one. Pillar 1 is absolutely, literally non-negotiable. Annual screenings. Once you hit 60, or honestly age 40 if you have a family history or are of African descent, you need an annual PSA blood test and a digital rectal exam. The PSA test tracks your prostate-specific antigen levels over time, which warns your doctor of inflammation or cancer. But you also need the physical exam, because a doctor can physically feel textural changes in the gland that a blood test might completely miss. Moving on to Pillar 2, anti-inflammatory nutrition. This is all about shifting your diet to foods that actively protect the prostate. And this is actually a brilliant example of how functional medicine works. Take tomatoes, for example. They are packed with an antioxidant called lycopene, which protects prostate tissue. But here's the real secret. Lycopene becomes significantly more bioavailable to your body when those tomatoes are cooked. So we're talking tomato paste, tomato sauce, tomato soup, adding cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, fatty fish that's rich in omega-3s, and green tea, and you are actively starving chronic inflammation. Pillar 3 is daily movement. Now, don't worry, you don't need some insane, exhausting gym routine here. In biology, consistency always beats intensity. 30 minutes of brisk walking most days, maybe some light resistance training, will regulate your hormones and maintain that crucial blood flow. But here is an intervention most guys completely ignore. Daily Kegel exercises. Yes, pelvic floor training isn't just for women. And the best part is, no one even has to know you're doing them. Doing discrete, simple Kegel exercises every single day directly supports your bladder and prostate function, which dramatically improves urinary control and reduces those sudden annoying urges. And finally, Pillar 4, hydration and flushing. Your body has a hard physiological requirement for 2 to 3 liters of plain water every single day just to dilute your urine and keep the internal environment clean. Pair that daily hydration with a healthy, regular sexual life. Together, water and regular ejaculation form the ultimate biological flushing mechanism, keeping that prostate tissue clean and making it far less hospitable to cellular deterioration. I really want to leave you with a deeply impactful truth when it comes to those vital early screenings. Look, I get it. There's hesitation, there's a lot of cultural stigma around prostate exams. But your life is worth 15 seconds of discomfort. Getting checked is not a sign of weakness. Showing up, sitting in that doctor's office and getting a 15-second physical examination to secure your future, that is the clearest, most undeniable act of strength a man can perform for himself and for his family. Well, we've covered the biology, the myths, and the master plan.
The guys who are thriving in their 70s and 80s, they aren't just lucky. They made a conscious decision to stop being passive observers of their own health. So, answer this for yourself today. What is the one habit you are going to commit to changing this week? Will you finally book that PSA test? Will you start cooking your tomatoes? Heck, will you just drink an extra glass of water right now? Pick one. Because your prostate is basically the canary in the coal mine for your overall longevity. Your vitality is absolutely worth fighting for, so what else might you discover if you start taking control of your biology today?